if you set that expectation up front and you don't deliver, like the job came out great, it was beautiful, but they're not happy because the expectation was never hit. The ideal referral and how to actually create more of them. That's what
you just got to bribe your clients.
Yeah.
That's what we learn on this podcast.
The cliff notes are, you don't hand the keys over until they leave you a 5-star Google review.
The dust protection stays up until you give me 5 quality referrals. Until then, it's not going. The dump trailer's staying in the driveway.
That is not the conversation we're having today. I mean, it's the topic, but that is not the actual cliff notes. I also meant to say this later in the conversation, and I'll say it again here. The idea I just purchased a vehicle, and when I finished, the conversation was like, hey, you're going to get a phone call and it's going to rate my performance. I would appreciate if, you let them know I did a good job, if you feel that way.
Yeah.
I was like, 100%. Period. That's the only way I get paid. I was like, you ruined it. Like, I was like, you've been great. And then I'm like, now you're like now there's guilt.
Yeah.
And I mean, I actually don't think I ever got the phone call, so I guess the guy never got paid. But I was like you gotta, like, that wasn't the right way to go about it. Either way, we're gonna talk about the ideal referrals and how to actually create more of them. And it's not just previous clients, but it can be your entire network. So
yeah, make it easy for them. I think that it's really important to understand who you are as a contractor and what your needs are and what type of work supports your business, because without that, you're not going to understand how to pitch this and how to build that referral funnel with your clients and potential clients down the road. So you have to understand who you are in order to create that marketing message and build that referral funnel. So make sure you do some analysis of yourself and some inventory of your business to understand who you are and what makes you tick.
We had a lot of snow the other day, right?
Yes.
And I can't go to the office because I couldn't get out of the house, and the kids are home from school, and I'm sitting in my living room, and let me back up. The night before, it was extremely windy, crazy wind. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear a bunch of noise. I thought it was a plow blade hitting the street. It wasn't. It was like stuff on the scaffolding that's in front of my house that I've set up. And all in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, like if there's a tarp on the scaffolding, like it's going to rip the scaffolding off the building. It's going to fall over. Like there's tools on the scaffolding. Like I'm just going, like, just pure anxiety.
Straight spiraling.
So I get up and I walk over to the window and I open it, and it's just like mayhem out there, but everything's fine. And I shut the window and I'm like, man, these windows are insane, like are blocking out so much sound.
Yeah.
And it's the Andersen A series triple pane. But later in the day, I'm downstairs and I'm in the dining room and I'm like, man, it's cold. Something's up. And I'm like looking around, like no windows are open. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. I go down to the floor below. One of the windows blew into the house. Pure, like on the ground, and 6 inches of snow on that floor.
How?
Now, mind you, it was not one of the new Andersen windows. It was the one that we haven't replaced yet. And it was a vinyl replacement window. And when we demoed the interior wall, apparently it was only mounted to the interior wall.
Yeah.
So and this floor was unfinished, and it was like, this is where, I mean, it's very much under construction, but a vinyl replacement window blew in, like literally like across the room, and just like filled the area with snow, which is what led to the cold air blowing at my feet upstairs in the level. But my point is like, well, there was no point here besides the fact that it was a ridiculous story. But Meg and I both were like super impressed with how quiet that triple pane was on the front of our building, because we live on a busy street.
Yeah.
And just how chaotic it was outside, and we were like, all right, I'll go back to sleep.
I can't wait when I come to sleep in my apartment again.
It's
Because
gonna
I'm
be
not
so
gonna lie, when
nice.
I've slept down there, it's like it feels as though the construction outside on the main street is in the bedroom with me.
Well, you both times. I think you stayed there twice, and both times there was construction.
Yeah, there's road work.
Yeah.
And it's like it's basically like the basement apartment. You're a little below grade, but the windows are at grade, so you're like at street level. And they're doing major roadwork construction at night, and I'm like, I feel like you guys are in the room with me right now.
Well, this podcast is brought to you by Andersen Windows. So if you guys want to check out their triple pane windows, I would highly recommend it from not only a energy perspective, but in my case, it's blocking out the noise of a potential scaffold failure, which I'm exaggerating, obviously. This podcast is also brought to you by Harnish Workwear. And we met as a team today. We have an all hands meeting as an entire team once a month. And we, two of my guys walked up and was like, "Hey, can I get a replenishment?" I'm like, "What?
You need?
Yeah,
man,
what you need?" And he goes, "I need more sweatshirts." I'm like, "Dude, whatever you need." Like, he's like, "Do we have more?" I'm like, "Dude, there's a whole bin in the office. Like, grab what you need." And then we started talking about jackets, and we're going to order some jackets. And Alex from Harnish has been helping us lay them out. And dude, if it wasn't for him, like, I just wouldn't order this stuff because it's such a pain in the butt, like getting everyone on board. So he mocked up a ton of stuff. And then we were talking today. It's like, by the time I order these jackets, number one, it's going to be warm out, which is what I literally order jackets every February. And so I was like, we should get ahead and order T-shirts because we're going to need those. Because
true.
I'm pretty sure I only have mediums left, and none of us are mediums. So
What kind of jackets did you get?
we have a couple different ones. We have like a puffer jacket, and then they want a more like durable work jacket, which I don't actually know what it is.
Yeah.
But the nice part is like Alex should just help with all of that stuff, and then obviously like their sweatshirts are Harnish brand, and then also the T-shirts are Harnish brand. And then one of my guys was like, "I also need pants." I'm like, "All right." He goes, "That's part of the uniform, right?" I'm like, No. Like, this isn't UPS. Like, you don't have to wear the Creator ones. Like, if you like the Creator ones, hey, like 100%. Like, I'll get you a pair. You know, they're great. They're great for work. But you're not required to show up in all the same pants. Like, that's even ridiculous for me.
Be sick though.
It would. Maybe. All right. Well,
Goals. Yeah, I need some stuff I've been putting off. Just too many things going on.
Well,
but Alex does make it easy. I feel badly actually because he drafted a bunch of stuff up, and then it was like I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
But he made it very easy for me because that can be an extremely daunting task, especially with the amount of options and selections and all that stuff that you have to make. So
I'm going to say it. If you need T-shirts, like literally message them, harnishworkwear.com. He will have a mock-up to you like lickety split. And then you can just press order and he'll get them to you. Like, and now is the perfect time to get them ordered because by the time, well, they'll come in before it gets warm out. But it's a great, rolling into the springtime here to have a whole nother round of fitted T-shirts.
hell yeah. First off, we were just in Orlando, lickety split.
Mm-hmm. I think
we were
30 hours, maybe.
Yeah, we were in and out, and we probably at least I walked 2 to 3x more than I needed to because of errors on my end, filming error. It was a lot of walking. Like it always is a lot of walking, but I definitely walked at least 2 times as much as I needed to.
I mean, we also walked. I mean, our hotel was too close to drive and too far to too whatever, you know what I mean.
Highlight of the show, seeing Sedge.
Yeah, dude. Like
that was so funny.
He was like he was just standing by like waiting for us to notice him.
And then he came out of nowhere. But if you guys have followed Sedge with Festool Sedge, he has a new position over at Rubio Monaco, and he's doing well. He's excited. It was a good change for him, and good to see him doing well because he somewhat dropped off the face of the earth. So
Yeah. No, he's a ball of life.
Yeah, it was exciting to see him. Yeah, but we were in and out of Orlando, back home just in time for more snow. I on the home front, I'm like very close with our own personal build. I had to go submit one more thing for soil conservation today. It's like when I think I'm ready to go, there's always one more thing.
Is that all in person for you?
Yeah.
Damn. Dude, everything is online for us.
No, I mean, some of it's online and some of it's through the engineer, but this is basically single family home. They want to make sure that soil erosion plans in place, but it's kind of BS because with a single family home, you don't really have to have a soil erosion plan. They just give you this like guide as to what to do. So you need to pay the money for essentially approval, but there's not really anything other than that. So it just seems like just another thing that somebody's trying to get money from you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do I need a soil erosion plan? They're like, no, single family home, you can just like use the document that's online that we kind of tell you what to do, but it doesn't really matter with the single family home. I'm like, cool. So here's your $500.
Yeah.
That's basically
as long as you pay the fee, you're fine.
Yeah, so I should be, I'm getting very close.
That's
other
exciting.
Than the mud.
I was going to say exciting with the exception of the snow. I saw you swinging your kids around with the excavator, and I was like,
True.
And I did not read the comments, but I've been meaning to go back to the comments to see if anyone gave you shit, but I was like, dude, that's amazing.
I don't think anyone would. I didn't post it on my business account. People would.
Yeah.
Maybe I reposted something from Rachel. I definitely would. But the guy who sold me the excavator was like, tell me you're a redneck without telling me you're a redneck. And I was like, I don't disagree, but I think it would be far more redneck if there was like an irrigation pond and mud. Like that's what I feel like is redneck, where you're like, you know, we're gonna be filming this and there's just gonna be a mud bath and an irrigation pond and possibly some farm animals in the background.
Yeah.
Which I could probably make happen, but
Could. Yeah.
yeah, they've been begging me and
it was their idea?
well, it was they didn't come up with that. Like I've planted the seed and then they were like, can we do it? Can we do it? I was like, I can't do it now. I can't do it. Can we do it? So finally I was like, all right, let's go do it.
It's funny when you like I showed Marley what drifting is.
Yeah.
Like I turned the traction control off my truck and I was in the snow like drifting around corners. And she called, I don't know why she calls it slipping.
Yeah.
And we were driving somewhere the other day and like the roads are bare. She goes, and her friend was in the car. She's like, Dad, slip the truck.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not slipping the truck right now.
Yeah. With your friends in the car and they go home, they're like,
yeah, Mr. Schiffer,
Marley's dad,
was slipping the truck around corners. Like, no thanks.
Oh man, no, yeah, we had fun. One of their friends was over. I had helmets on them and all that stuff, and cleared everything. And Rachel was like, "Can that go faster?" And then I was like, "Yeah, that can go way faster than that." I was like trying to go as slow as I could go because of the freaking G-force when you get them on a good pole is insane.
Dude, when I was young, I was over at my friend John's house, and they had a 4-wheeler, and we towed this tube behind it, flying around the yard. And I think his dad hopped on, and he was flying, and he came around a corner, and there was enough rope where he swung me so far out that there was a shed, and it was literally like the Wild Coyote. All of a sudden, I hit the side of the shed, and I'm just like flat up against it, and the tube's gone. Like, and all I hear is the 4-wheeler like stop, and he's running, and he's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm fine."
Yeah, I was like trying to make sure that there was no trees or anything around in case they were to fly, but I was like, I'm not going to get them really going because it would be super sketchy. Also, a tube would be way better, for just way easier for them. Like all I had was one of those little plastic discs and they were having to hold on to the rope with their hands. So I'm like, there's a lot of things that could go very wrong here. So I'm going to be as safe as possible, but a tube would be legit. So next time we get a bunch of snow.
Well, if you guys haven't seen it on Tyler's personal Instagram, he's swinging his kids around with the excavator around and around in circles.
Yeah, just don't tell my accountant. that's supposed to be a write-off, the business write-off.
The disc or the excavator?
The excavator. I might have ran the disc through the company too. That's a masonry mixing tray. So obviously we missed last week being away in Orlando. We've been really tackling the business approach, and I think as small businesses, most of us we're looking for warm leads. We're looking for referrals. Like, I'm a referral-based business. We've mentioned this many times, but a lot of leads that come in my plate, one of the discerning questions and factors of the quality of that lead is it a referral? Is it somebody who I know? And understanding not all referrals are created equal, and how to break down those referrals to make sure that it's still a fit, right? Because I've gotten plenty of referrals that aren't the right fit, right? So it's not as though, hey, somebody gave my name out, this is a sure job for mine, and I made that mistake early on where it's like, oh yeah, everything's checking out. They've seen my work. It's a next door neighbor. They follow me on social. And then I put my guard down. I go through the whole process. I give away a ton of time for free. And then I'm like, we're on two completely different pages. Mm-hmm. So just going through what the ideal referral looks like for us, how we're gauging those referrals, and then also how to drum up some high quality referrals in your business, like while you're still doing the job. So that's what I want to dig into today. For this podcast. Again, definitely business related, but I think that most of the people I speak with on a consulting basis are looking for more leads. Mm-hmm. They want better leads. And for me, it's like, don't spend money on advertising right now. Like, get a website, invest in your own social, invest in your own website, possibly some SEO, but then use your network and your referral network to get the word out, rather than just paying Google or Facebook or Houzz to market your business.
I think people, it's so crazy to me because I think people just don't ask. And at the end of the day, it's like there's ways to, we'll get to it. Like, there's ways to ask for a referral, but we put all this effort into, like you said, paid advertising or marketing, when it's like, dude, what about all the clients that you've done work for?
Yeah.
Have you circled back with them? And we'll talk about like how to keep a regular cadence with someone, so it's not just like out of the blue, like, hey, Rob, like, I know I built you a house a couple years ago, and any of your buddies looking to build a house?
Yeah.
Because it is, it's kind of fostering that relationship, but it's, some people, firsthand experience of like, when I have done outreach and basically kind of like reintroduced like the type of clients we want and circle back with clients that we've worked with and that we've enjoyed working with, I've had people be like, oh, I thought you were just too busy. Like, I'd be happy to refer you work. Based on social media, you have way too much going on. I'm like, oh man, like, no, like I
not
want more.
Wrong.
Well, not wrong, but like, I want more clients like you, and this is a long process. So yeah, I think people undervalue the just asking their network. I mean, kind of related, they don't have to be clients. Like, you probably have 1,000 people in your contacts of your phone, never mind the thousands of emails you have. I've done it where I've kind of done some mass outreach of just every person in my phone, every person in my email, just like, hey, this is what I got going on. If you know somebody. And that's turned into work, where it's like, you know what, I've been wanting to reach out and I haven't, but I'm glad you reached out. So, hey, let's work together.
Yeah. And I think that for me, and something that I've learned is you have to continually get referrals. Like, you have to, it's not just like, oh yeah, I have the amount of leads that I need. I've reached out to past clients. Like, my business has changed over the years, and I want my referrals to properly convey my marketing message, mm-hmm. like who I am as a business, what I do, why I'm different. And my referrals and my testimonials from 10 years ago are going to paint a different picture than I need for today and that I want for today. So it's something that you constantly have to nurture, and you constantly have to cultivate those referrals and those testimonials. And then the other thing is, like, you have to have a landing page that is you can bring these potential clients to and create this journey that's going to end with your business, right? Like, it's like, if you don't have people want to spend all this money on marketing, it's like, well, get the photos done, get the website going, invest in yourself, invest in your brand, invest in your business, and then at that point the referrals have a place to land, right? Where it's like, hey, I don't know if I want all of my clients giving out my cell phone number, but sure, send them to my website, and then I'll go through my process for vetting that lead. But if you don't have that, you're not, like, all of these referrals, all these testimonials, they're not really saving you any time. Like, they're just creating more work for you, and your business and your life's going to be more hectic. So make sure that you have that funnel set up.
Yeah, I mean, your keyword there is journey. And I think if you sit down and think about when a client reaches out, what that journey should look like, you realize just how important that structure is. And that can be, there can be the human aspect of it, but to your point, someone's texting you, someone's emailing you, someone's calling you, someone's showing up at your place of business, someone's showing up to your job site. It's, someone's DMing you. It's get them to one spot so you can keep it in one spot. And that, like you said, the landing page is a great spot, whether it's a website, whether it's an email form. Like, you've always been great at that, where it's like, hey, thanks for the call, but, like, if you really are interested in working with me, please go to my website, fill out the form.
Yeah.
And, by doing that, you're creating a little bit of resistance, but you're also like letting them know, like, this is, you're taking it serious, and you want to make sure that you do the follow up, and you're going to get back to them with more value.
What do you think, like, as far as referrals go, what's an ideal referral for you? Like, what attributes does that referral have?
Well, I think for us, like, the best referrals are directly related to our process, and and a client that valued our process going through the build. And ultimately, because that's the differentiator, especially when it comes to budget.
Yeah.
We're going through that right now, where it was, the client really wants to work with us, but ultimately just looks at it as, man, there's a lot of money, attributed to the way that they run the job and manage the job. And they just, they're like, I don't know if we really value it. We might be able to save a couple $100,000 by going with the guy that doesn't have a white glove approach. And so when we're thinking about referrals, it's someone that has built with us, or is very familiar with our process. Mm-hmm. And can speak to a potential, client of ours and say, hey, listen, like, they're expensive, but this is why they're expensive, and this is why it's valuable.
Yeah, for me, it's very similar. I think it's difficult to understand. I just had this conversation, and I know we've spoke about this before, but when you're trying to figure out your marketing and your message, and when you're trying to drum up referrals and testimonials, you have to really understand, like, you're trying to figure out who your client is, but you have to understand who you are first, and who your business is. So everyone wants to market themselves. Everyone's trying to find the right client, and how do I get in front of these clients? But they don't understand who they are enough that their marketing message doesn't create like a very deliberate funnel for them. So the first thing for me is just making sure that my referrals, my marketing, all of that aligns with the type of work that suits me really well, right? And I understand that at this point who that client is and what that message needs to be. But for me, the referral is somebody who wants an owner-operator to be doing the work, who wants a smaller company, who wants the attention to detail, who wants the owner of the company showing up on a daily basis, who doesn't want a ton of the work subcontracted. And that's like a very unique position to be in, and it limits me in certain capacities. But when I find the right client, somebody who wants my process, who wants all of the protection, all of the white glove service, the pre-construction and everything else, it really makes referrals that much easier because I get more of the same because I'm only taking the clients that make sense for me. So if that job goes well, if I meet the expectations of the client, that referral coming from that client or those potential referrals are going to be mirroring everything that makes sense for me and my business. So I'm setting myself up for success. As soon as I take the job for the client that's not ideal for me, or I market that, or I create content around that, it's like now the phone's going to start ringing for more of those type of jobs, which are the wrong type of jobs in the first place. So like while you're doing this, while you're looking, hey, who do I want to get referrals from? What do I want that message to be? It's really, really important to understand who you are, what makes you unique as a business, and why people are going to be hiring you.
I think for me, we've all done work for clients that aren't our ideal fit for one reason or the other. Sometimes we do it for the sole purpose of building a good portfolio, and it's like then they refer you to their friend. And it's like, I know I did your job and it came out great, but your friend is in the same position and it wasn't really profitable for us.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And I think for me, what I've done in the past is where it's going back to your point, I've just recommunicated like, hey, this is what our thanks for being such a great client. We had a great job. We had fun building your house, whatever. Here's we would love to work with more people like yourself. Here is what our ideal type of project and client looks like. And, for us right now, it's, we're looking for projects that are $3 to $10 million plus. They're really architect-led projects, heavy amount of detail, typically on average $1,000 a square foot or up. We kind of set that parameter. And here, this is a great opportunity where it's like, sure, maybe you built them a house that was less expensive or wasn't architect-led or whatever the case is, but you are reestablishing who you are with the client that you just built for. And to them, it's just maybe you're repositioning your business. But now they understand before they go and refer you to someone that doesn't meet that criteria, you've reestablished, hey, this is who I am. This is what our business is really looking for. If you know anyone in your network that is looking for these things, our process, how we run a job, you were happy with the outcome, but here's the parameters that we're looking for future projects. Like it's the perfect opportunity to do it in a way that also is not insulting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too when I look at my client base and the referrals that come from those clients, and I also have a fairly comprehensive understanding of why those clients hired me. So I understand when I get a referral from different clients that's clients coming to me for part of my process, but it might be different than what other clients are referring me for. And what I mean by that, like specifically, I have one client that I've worked for that she has money, but you would never know that she has money. She always hires us to do nice work, but it's not because of anything really other than she trusts me. She trusts me heavily, and she pays whatever it is, and she wants nice things, but she really just wants to ensure that she's not being taken advantage of. Now, the network of people that she hangs out with, the neighborhood that she lives in, it's not my ideal client. So I know when referrals come from her that she's pitching the trust thing, but I also know that her network is not typically somebody who's going to hire me just from a financial perspective. She's not playing the game. She's not like trying to keep up with the Joneses. So a lot of her network is just people that she is friends with because genuinely she likes them. And it's not because I live in this really affluent town and everyone here has money.
Right.
So, I have to understand who my clients are and where those referrals are coming from and what the selling point is. I have other clients who hire me not necessarily, like the trust is one aspect of it, but just because of quality. And then I have other clients who hire me because the way that I have my business established meets their needs and their program from a financial perspective. So I understand that all of those referrals are going to refer me based on what's important to them and what their program is. So I have to understand when so-and-so referred me that this person's probably coming to me for the reason that that client hires me, right? Which if it's good work, if it's because I take care of them, if it's because my system, my pre-construction, my pricing, whatever it is, I generally have a pretty good idea of what that is. So you guys and girls should pay attention to that as well too. Different referrals from different clients, even if you feel that they're hiring you for a certain reason, may actually be different.
Yeah, and it's funny. We had a client recently. We were going to build a home. They've decided to hit pause, and we were chatting, and I was like, and they were like, "Listen, Nick, when we build a home, like you are our guy. We like your process. We want to do it." And I had came in right behind. I was like, "That's fine. Do you have any friends that are interested in building a home right now? I'd love to, start the conversation." And he was like, "We have no rich friends." And I laughed, and he goes, "No, literally, like you guys are insanely expensive, and we value it. We have no rich friends. We are the rich friend." And I was like, "Nah, that's fair." I was like, "I'll be your friend until you're ready to build a house." Then
it's fun. Like it's a difficult conversation to have and even say right here on the podcast, because I don't mean anything by it.
Yeah,
it's just the fact of the matter with the situation and understanding what that is. Like on paper, some of my clients who come to me, who I've worked for years, and I've evolved as a business and they've evolved as clients with me, I don't know if they would have signed up with the stipulations and the thresholds and benchmarks that I have now when they first came to hire me, right? It's just that we've evolved and our relationship has evolved over 10, 15 years. And yeah, like they trust me, but if they were just looking for a contractor now and they didn't know who I was and they came to me, maybe they wouldn't hire me. And I have to understand that like their network and the referrals that come from them might not speak to the people that they're referring me to. It might just be, they love me for this reason, but those people have other reasons that are way more important and more valuable to them for what they're hiring. And you have to have some sort of perspective of that when you're qualifying referrals.
Well, I think, you go back to what is a good referral. It is someone that's communicating our entire kind of, ethos. And that is also like tied back to the financial implications of it, because hey, I'm looking for someone really trustworthy. It's like, all right, yeah, talk to Tyler. It's like, well, not that trustworthy. I don't really want to spend. I don't want to spend that much for trust. And that's just that is the reality of it. Where it's if they need to get the full picture, and this goes back to kind of what we talked about before but building kind of the lead qualification, where it's like when you are getting a referral, where are they showing up, and then are they then self-educating themselves on your process?
Do you have any sort of, like, I don't have, and I think my business is this way with a lot of things, but I don't have an SOP or a structure in place for those referrals other than, hey, like I want to get a testimonial from you, right? Like I have a pretty simple way of engaging clients for testimonials, but I don't have a actual SOP or process for developing that referral funnel. Do you have something in place for that?
It's drafted. It's not something like we're fully implementing.
Yeah.
It's, we have been so focused on like the marketing, the sales, and the pre-construction process of our business for the last couple of years that like it's just been this forever refinement. And now I feel like we've gotten that figured out. Yeah. And kind of on our whiteboard is let's formalize the closeout process. So right now it's kind of ad hoc. We're going to be delivering the keys to one of our clients in 2 days on the Echo Pond project. And, and we're just thinking about like how we're going to do that. Like, what are the things that we're going to do? And right now it's going to be very low, low lift and, very like low anxiety, no big party or anything. Like they're very much, they want to get in the home, and then we're going to come back and then do like a big like celebration. But making sure that we're handing it over properly. And there's a lot of, we've built a lot of rapport over the last, I think 18 or so months or actually, I mean, at this point, 4 years when this project, quote unquote, really started. But we've built all this rapport, and they've been so incredibly happy with it. And we want to, end the project in a positive way, and open it up to referrals.
Yeah.
Like, get that testimonial. Like, what, and also understand, like, what does that testimonial look like? I think even for me, I've always, the idea of getting like a Google review or a testimonial or whatever, it seems, I'm gonna cut right to the chase. It seems like it's not a valuable thing, and it's so incredibly valuable when people are like considering hiring you. For you, it's just like someone praising about how great you were. It's like, this is silly. But there's other people that are going to educate themselves on you and your business, and they want to see what people think about you. Like, this is, they know nothing about you. And if a bunch of people are raving about it, more specifically, like, you read the reviews and it's like, man, all they talk about is how great their communication was. All they talk about is how high quality or trustworthy. Like, it's always like, that's building the credibility with someone that knows nothing about you in the very beginning.
I was, one of the questions that I was going to ask is, if you go on and you look at a lot of reviews for me and my business, which I haven't done a great job of getting new reviews and testimonials, but a lot of them say the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel as if you're doing your job and you're pitching the right work and you're positioning yourself correctly and cultivating the testimonials and the responses that you want from clients, they should be similar. Like, your reviews, if you specialize in something and you're doing the right thing and you're setting proper expectations, those referrals, those reviews, those testimonials should all be very similar. It shouldn't be all over the map as far as what you do and what you do well. You want to be creating a narrative that helps shape more leads as to what works for you.
Piece of advice about Google or getting reviews in general: do not mass email people for reviews.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you see like 15 reviews on, February 25th, 2026, it's like, it just doesn't feel like people see right through that.
Yeah.
So having this part tied to, a closeout on a job is way better in terms of, like, number one, honesty and kind of riding the high of when a client's super happy with the job. I'll never forget. I remember I reached out to a client. To my knowledge, they were very happy. They let us, everything was great. And I had reached out like a year later, and I was like, hey, John, I was wondering, would you mind putting together like a quick Google review? I can't say that. Google review. And he was like, I'm going to refrain. And I was like, I don't know if he has been upset about something or if he's just not interested in doing it. But but
did you ask?
I did. And
I feel like that would have like eaten me up.
No, I did.
Like, what's that about?
I did. And there was like, it was a pretty long, thoughtful response that ultimately just like, it was kind of like a non-answer.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the point is you tie this to when you're closing it out and the emotions are high and they're excited and they're moving in, and it's like, it doesn't have to be like boom right away. Like, hey, before I give you, your keys, do you mind writing me a quick Google review?
Yeah.
But it can be part of the conversation where it's like, hey, listen, like,
should be bribing your client.
You want the keys?
Dude, but the funny thing is, I think that so many people aren't able to become a referral based business or gather the testimonials and the reviews because it just creates anxiety for them throughout the entire job because they're afraid they're going to make a mistake or they didn't do something right or they didn't close the job out well. And it's almost impossible to have a substantial job go according to plan smoothly without hiccups. Mm-hmm. So the problem is that most of you are selling false hopes and expectations to your clients in order to get the job. So you're selling them on this process that's going to be seamless and it's going to be perfect and they're going to get everything that they want and you're going to close it out on time and there's going to be no mess and it's going to be absolute flawless perfection of an experience. And as soon as you do that, there's no way you're going to get a review, a testimonial, or a referral from those clients because you didn't hit and meet any of their expectations. Mm-hmm. So for me, I always try and set the expectation up front from the outset that this is not going to go seamless. This is not going to be flawless. We're going to do our best work and we're going to try and maintain budget, try and maintain schedule. But day one, everything that I anticipated, everything that we worked to try and build is going to change. It's going to be different than what I anticipated. And the question is, well, does your pre-con go out the window at that point? No, because that's our basis for how we're going to move forward. That's our benchmark. That's our roadmap of how we move forward. We use that to back up against, right? So it's like day one, we go in and there's more demolition. We run into asbestos. There's 8 layers of subflooring. Now we have this entire pre-construction guide to go back and say, where's the money going? Where's the time allocated? How do we want to move forward? How do you want to spend your money? Do you have contingency set aside? So it happens on every job. And I don't want to walk into a job or sell a job to a client under the expectation that it's going to go perfectly. Mm-hmm. Because no, like I'm never going to feel comfortable asking for a referral. But if I go in, like one of the reasons I'm time materials because I know that everything changes day one. And I want to set the expectation that you will spend your money the way that you want to spend your money, and we'll put the work in place and we'll execute the job according to your program. But I can't guarantee that it's going to go exactly how we anticipated it was in pre-construction. And once I do that and I gain that trust and I walk them through that process, maybe the job is not exactly what they anticipated from the get-go, but I didn't sell them that it would be, right? If money was unlimited funds, then sure, we can do that. But if you don't want to spend a certain amount, then I have to make sure that I maintain budget with regard to all of the changes and all of the unforeseens and everything that we ran into. So as long as I set a proper expectation, it almost doesn't matter what happens with the job and what happens with the process and if things don't go according to plan. If I manage it according to the expectation I set forth and according to my client's program, at the end of the job, even if it didn't go seamlessly, even if we closed that later than anticipated, I have no issues going to them and asking for a referral because I created trust and I did stick to my word throughout that process. So something to think about is just like you got to stop selling the job on we can get it done for this price, we can get it done in this time frame, and there's going to be no hiccups along the way because, you set a improper false expectation and the client's not going to be happy if it's anything less than perfection.
Yeah, I mean, setting the expectation up front is huge. And I've shared the story before on here, but, we built a beautiful condo in Boston, one of the more challenging clients. It was design build. We had no architect. And some of the expectations that we had set early on just were completely unrealistic. And, and I just got, kind of...
As far as what?
Specifically on this project, paint.
Yeah.
It was like, we want a spray finish, like we expect automotive finish across all surfaces.
Yeah.
And I was like, not going to happen. It's not. And so we end up doing what we call like perfect plaster, where it's, large screeded walls that are, quite literally within a 30-second across 20-foot spans, like bananas, like accuracy. Yeah. And then that expectation was that because the plaster is so flat, like we can reduce the paint work. And I was like that's literally the opposite.
Yeah.
And they just and then we finished it, and then they went through the project with this, micro flashlight pointing out every imperfection. I'm like, guys, like this is, and they were like, you sold us on the fact that this would be perfect. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I did. I basically, you asked, can I do perfect walls? And I was like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I completely oversold it. And that's the problem. Like to your point, where if you set that expectation up front and you don't deliver, like it's regardless how good, like the job came out great. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's like, but they're not happy because the expectation was never hit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that any jobs I've ever had issues on, and I really haven't had many major issues. One, I knew that I shouldn't take that job in the first place, but two, it came down to expectations. And I could think of one specifically where it was one of those jobs where somebody came in and they fired the contractor, and then they hired another one, they fired them, and it was like, we're in this bind, our kids need this, we don't have a functioning kitchen. And I was like, I really can't help you. And then the emotional aspect came in, and I was like, all right, I'll give you a hand. And like walking into the job and it being such a poor level of quality, my expectation in my head was like, I'm gonna button this up, but like I can't make this perfect without tearing your whole house down. And I guess I didn't clearly communicate that, so we put work in place, and like what we did was good, but there was a lot of things that we didn't do that we couldn't avoid, right? Where it's like, you want bigger casing, but your light switches are in the way. So what are you going to do? Like, there's a lot of issues. Are you going to re-rough all your electrical? Are you not going to use? So like,
can't you just cut the side of the switch plate?
Yeah, well, it's like basically, what are your options, right? You already have this room wallpapered. You want bigger casing on there now. Like, you don't have much other choice. And looking around at the rest of what's done, I'm like, I'm making judgment calls as to where we should be spending money, but it doesn't make sense to be like completely redoing this, and didn't set proper expectations. And the client was like, all the work that was put in place is basically like inequitable, meaning like we don't see value in it because it was just finalizing what was already done. And I was like, well, yeah, that was kind of what I assumed what was going to happen. And they had this expectation, seeing my work and what I do and following me online, that I was going to come in and perform like magic on what was already done.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where you think that you're doing right by them, but my expectations and what their expectations would never align from the outset. And it comes back to burn you. So I know that we want to make our clients happy. We want to tell them everything that they want to hear, but by doing that, it's just as bad as throwing out a ballpark number that's not accurate from the outset, right? Like, you're just setting an expectation that's going to chase you for the rest of that job.
Even like we promote this idea of pre-construction will keep the project on budget, on schedule, on track, like, de-risking the project. Like, that's what we promote. And we oftentimes, even most recently, like, had a client come back and basically like kind of shove that in our face and say, like, you promote that you do all this work in pre-construction that's going to prevent all these issues, and now we're doing all these issues. We're dealing with all these issues. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Not this, like, it's not a fine print thing, but what we promote is that if we go through pre-construction and get through pre-construction 100%, we can prevent these things. Like, we didn't finish pre-construction.
Yeah.
We decided to start construction partway through. And so when I talk with, clients now, it's, hey, if we truly go through like full pre-construction and get all the way down to like finalized pricing and everything is figured out, yeah, I could pretty much guarantee what the project's going to cost because we've done the work, or at least be able to highlight the issues or the potential exposures that remain on the project.
Yeah.
But most clients, and now I just say it up front, I'm like, but most clients don't ever allow us to do that. We have another one where the client's like, no, we get it. Like, we're in pre-construction, but like, let's just get going. And I'm like, okay, I gotta be very upfront. Like, we are not finalized. We have there's a ton that we're still holding a 10% plus contingency. As long as we understand that.
See, like, in my world may be different because I'm not doing new builds, but I just feel that even with that model, you're still setting yourself up for failure. Like, for me, the pre-construction, and again, it might be different because I'm doing typically remodeling and renovation, but like even on the porch project that I just did, essentially it's a new construction project. Like, the tie into the house, the existing, was not where the issues were that I ran into on the job. It was still with the new construction and what I would be to consider unforeseen or unavoidable issues. But it's just like, to me, the sell with pre-con, again, and I just mentioned this, is that we now have a benchmark for how we can move forward and how we can complete this job based on whatever parameters we're experiencing or whatever conditions we're experiencing at that given time. So it's like, it's the same reason why you create a schedule. I'm never going to tell people, here's my schedule, this is how long the job's going to take. I know contractually you are supposed to be obligated to giving them a closeout date, but like, day 2 of a job, my schedule is not what I anticipated. So I then use that schedule as my reference point moving forward. It's not like day 2 when things go out the window that I take that schedule, I rip it up and I throw it in the trash can. I continue to use that schedule as a tool to now say, okay, this took longer than anticipated. Where can I overlap things? Where can I bump things? Where are still my dates that I need to get inspections done? Where am I still need to get my countertops templated to make sure I can move things forward? It's my pre-con. Everything changes as soon as I start the job, but that's my formula to execute that job according to my client's program at that point, right? If we ran into something that's $20,000 more than anticipated that was unavoidable and not just like an egregious error or omission, I use that pre-con and our entire budget to understand what our options are moving forward to execute that project, right? Do we want to dip into a contingency? Do we want to change the scope? Do we want to pull stuff from the scope? Do we want to reduce the level of finish? How do we want to move forward with this? But I never set the expectation that my pre-con is going to be exactly the way that job's going to be, because it, like, unless you just want to eat money, it's impossible.
No, 100%. I mean, we're digressing here on expectation, but the point here is, by being clear with expectations and delivering on those expectations is setting you up for that good referral.
Yeah.
When you break that early and you can't recover, like, now you're doing all this work and there is no referral in sight.
Yeah.
And that's the worst feeling. Like, trust me, like, there's plenty of clients that I can sit and like, oh, why don't you ask so-and-so for a referral? I'm like, because I know I didn't hit their expectation.
Yeah.
Despite how great that job is and how happy they were, like, I know that they weren't satisfied with the process. And
that's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Like, just expectation. What
Right.
was their expectation? Did you meet it?
It's like, project's beautiful. It's like, why aren't they happy? It's like, because I told them it would be a 10 and it became a 9.
Or because you told them it'd be done in 10 months and it took 12.
Right. Whatever it is. Like, there's such it's such a thin piece of ice that, you lose it and it's like, great, now I'm doing all this work and like the likelihood of getting a referral is slim to none.
Yeah. I think that what's really important with your referrals and your referral funnel that you're developing, right, to get leads, is understanding how you're signaling those referrals. Like, you need to have consistent messaging. It needs to be proven through your work and through your expectations. You have to make sure that you're managing that client experience. To me, it's almost, and this sounds bad, but it's almost as though you're grooming that client for the referral that you need, right? Throughout this through the initial inquiry, through the job, through post-construction, you're grooming that client with your expectations to make sure that you can hit the mark, and then what you need from them from a testimonial referral perspective. Like, if I just expect my clients to give the referrals, it's going to be based on their program and what's important to them, which may or may not align with what works for me as a business. So I've always found it really critical, even if it's something as simple as a Google review, that I prompt them as far as what's important to me and what I'm looking for. And like, I will mention, this is why you were a really great client for me, so that they understand like what I'm looking for in clients, and subliminally they're crafting their referral process and their testimonials to fit my needs. It comes down to like grooming that testimonial, grooming that referral process.
It's just like, what do you want to be? What do you ultimately want them to tell someone else? If you want them to be a great like you want them to tell someone else that you're a great communicator, or that you're, you execute details well, or like that are like architect details, like, then that needs to be what you focus on and make sure that they understand that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, many times. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was like, we had a client that I'll never forget. She hired us because when I walked her through our daily reporting and communication process, she was like, I love this, and hired us for it. Guess what? We didn't deliver on that. I mean, we did a great job. We daily reports, regular communication, but it wasn't the communication that I set in that initial meeting. It was great communication, like probably the best that she's ever had with a builder, but it wasn't what I said it was in that initial meeting. And I remember asking, she's like, well, you said that we would do this and that. And like, I mean, you guys did a great job. And like, you were, we got a daily report every day, but you said we'd also get this. And you guys kind of didn't do that. And I was like,
talk less, Nick.
Yeah.
Know when to shut up. It's how about another, so I mean, from like a referral perspective, many times I've had clients, right, where one of my big issues is timeline. I don't get the jobs quickly. Somebody wants a job done. I have jobs lined up. I have return clients. I'm entertaining new leads. So I don't get to clients quickly. So I know for a fact that there's clients that don't want to put my name out there because they feel they're going to lose their spot in line, right? Or they want to keep me to themselves. So for me, one resolution that I've had for that is when I'm looking to get referrals from that client is telling them that I'm not really looking to expand my business. I just want more clients like them, right? I'm looking for a higher quality client. And then I mention all of the key attributes of them as a client that supported the work that I want to be doing. And that helps me really, I guess, influence the way that they're going to actually refer me to other clients. It helps motivate them to say, you know what, we can give his name out, we can give good referrals, we can recommend people who are looking for work, rather than just say, hey, I'm looking to take on more work, I'm looking to do more jobs, because I know that clients, one of the big concerns is that I take a long time to get to them. So I do make sure that whatever, I'm protecting myself there, and that I'm creating whatever sort of narrative I need to make sure that they are comfortable giving my name out there.
It's funny when you talk about that, I think about my wife has a roster of babysitters.
Yeah.
And when people ask, she's like, okay. She'll like keep the ones that she like definitely wants. She's like, you should call this girl.
Well, it's like when you need them in a pinch, or when your job comes up and you want them, you don't. I mean, I have an architect that I use that's always slammed, but he does like my structurals and stuff for me. But I know he always has too much work on his plate, and he'd be a really great referral. But the more people I give his name out to, the more it hurts me. So I'm like, I kind of want to, like, I want to help him, but at the same time, I want to help me.
It's dude, I think about the trades that we have brought onto our jobs, and I mean, there is at least a half a dozen trades off the top of my mind that have come to me and said, I want to do cooler work, and then we help them do cooler work, and then it's like, hey, can I get you they're like, oh, we're too busy. I'm like, no, Nope. This is not fair. Like, I helped you get here. Like, you got to fucking help me out. Like, you got to get back to my job.
I always give people recommendations for subcontractors and stuff just because, like, it's not as though I need them that much.
Yeah.
But then I do have one guy who's like a local contractor, and I'll give him referrals for any subcontractor, and then I'll ask him for one and he'd be like, oh no, I'm not giving his name out. I'm like, are you serious? I just gave you like 10 people's names that I know. And you're using this guy of mine and this guy of mine, but you won't give me your one tile guy's name. And I'm like, all right, I'm not giving you any more referrals.
Yeah, right.
But one of the things that I wanted to touch on that I think that people don't realize the value of is referrals are not necessarily just from clients, right? It's your sub trades, it's vendors that you work with. If you think about clients who are going into a tile showroom to look at tile, a cabinetry design showroom, and they need somebody to do their kitchen, or they don't have a contractor, like those are really great high quality referrals that if those people already understand who you are, can generate a ton of business for you, at least for most contractors, right? If you're a super high tiered, high end contractor, maybe that's not the move for you. But for me, even like my plumber's very particular. He's an owner operator. He's an older guy. He's always asking if I'll do more work because he can't find contractors like me. And I'm like, Bob, I can only do so much. But he refers me to so many people, and I know that if Bob's clients are hiring Bob, it's because they're very similar to what my ideal client is. So I get so many leads from my electrician, from my plumber, who like working with me, and they're the type of jobs I want to be doing. They're in the towns that I work. So don't lose sight of how valuable referrals from your trade partners, from your vendors and suppliers can be, because they can really lead to a lot more work for you.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said earlier. Just like ask, and this can be for anything, work, like employees. Like we've hired some great people where it's like we just ask our network, hey, do you have anyone that's potentially working for another trade or another company that would be interested in coming to work for us?
Yeah.
You just got to ask, and I think your network and the people that or have contact with are way more powerful than you give credit to.
I think the big thing to take away here is, to me, which I think a lot of people feel that they let the ball drop, and then they're afraid to ask for a referral, or they're afraid to reach out to clients, or the job didn't go exactly as they anticipated. So for me, it's like setting those expectations up front to make sure that you have access to that referral pool and to that network of that client during the job, before the job, after the job. And I think that the more realistic you can be, if you're not selling job on false pretenses, the easier it's going to be to build that referral funnel for yourself. And then like it's just less pressure during the job that this thing has to go 100% exactly as you anticipated according to plan, because they don't. No job does. So if you become more realistic in your sales and get more confidence and have systems that you understand you're going to experience pinch points, there's going to be problems, but you have the experience and the systems and the people to fix them and move forward and still meet your clients' needs, you're going to open yourself up to so much more opportunity as far as referrals and testimonials go.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to just mention, you had noted on here, is the post-project, follow-up. I think that's like so important. And it can be super light. There's a couple of examples, but like an anniversary email, like, oh my God, it's been a year since we built your house. Hope all is well. Whatever the case is. If you're doing any post-construction service, or we do home care, like that's actually a big reason why we do it, is so we're still top of mind, and that actually kind of reinstills the whole referral, because it's like they're still here. they're here maintaining things. The house is
Yep.
always looking good because of them, and it's, so you're building that, that easy referral where it's like that could also make up for like maybe a rough closeout. And where it's like, no, it was a rough closeout, but that, what, they do this home care, and it's been great. They maintain my home and make it really easy. Helpful owner tips. Like we've done it on and off kind of sporadically, but and I see a bunch of like plumbers do it, but it's like when frost comes, they'll send an email to everyone in their email list like, hey, it looks like it's going to be 15 degrees tonight. Make sure your hose bibs are, shut off.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, just like that little touch point, like a little tip. Like I've seen counter guys do it where it's like, hey, just a reminder, this is the cleaner that you should use for countertops. Like just like helpful tips. And then also occasional project updates. This is something that I've been kind of building in the background is, Instagram is great for project updates, and like it's the easiest way to kind of promote that stuff. But a lot of people aren't as active on Instagram as maybe you and I might be, where it's like my goal is to kind of like put together this newsletter of like, hey, you enjoyed building a project with us. Here's a couple other projects that we're building local to you, and kind of take the stuff that you're doing on Instagram and like cater it to your clientele in a nice email. And it just keeps you top of mind. And they feel more comfortable, referring you because, ultimately they see what you've built, firsthand. Now they're seeing it through your marketing material, and if you let that relationship go cold, it's going to be a lot harder to get a referral. Because again, remember, like a lot of the process around building is a very long process. And if that client gets cold, I mean, you gotta basically warm them up and get them all the way back to hut before they make a strong referral for you.
Yeah. I like what you noted about staying in touch with clients. And to me, the thing there, it's not really even anything more than them feeling as if you're still there, right? That they don't have to worry. And they may not have an issue already, but they just want the confidence to understand that if there is an issue, that you're there and that you're just not disappeared. And I can think about that with many things in my life, products that I bought. I mean, I just got my suspension redone for my dirt bike, and it's like all of the communication while getting that done, shipping it out, great. I pay for it, and it's like I can't get a hold of anyone. And it's like, don't be that guy, right? Where you're you get the sale and then you peace out. My mason, who is a phenomenal mason, really one of my best subs, but it's been snowing here, right? So he sent out an email to everyone that he does work for, clients, contractors, and he says, I hope you're all staying safe this season. We want to remind you of the importance of caring for your concrete during the winter months. Please do not apply any de-icing agents to your concrete, even those labeled concrete safe, as they can still cause damage. We recommend using clean sand for traction instead. Additionally, please be mindful of brine being kicked up from the street or brought onto your driveway by your vehicle. If left on the surface, this salt residue can cause premature damage. As we look forward to spring, please inspect your property once the snow thaws to ensure there's no erosion along the edges of your concrete. Gaps and cracks can allow water to seep in, which may cause the concrete to lift or crack. So like a simple message where it's like, we're here for you. We did work for you. We want to protect your investment. We're not looking for repairs. Just really reaffirms that confidence. And to me, it's like, damn, I'd refer my mason to anyone because he actually gives a shit about what he's doing. It's not a money grab. Like,
no,
he's looking to protect his work after he's gone. And it's like, it's flat work, dude.
And it's also like protecting like the potential callback.
Correct.
Like he's doing it on one hand, it feels, nice and letting me know, like reminding me of how to care for it. On the other hand, it's preventing a potential client from calling him and being like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Like
my concrete
de-icing agent.
Oh, I didn't know that I couldn't do that. It's like, yeah, you did, because you have an email on February 25th at 4:37 p.m.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I guess I do.
No, it's super smart. I forget that I get them every year, and then I got two with the storms recently. But yeah, keep in touch with your clients. just have the conversation with them as to why you need referrals and how that's a part of your business, and how clients like them are the type of clients that you want because of A, B, and C. And make sure that you are cultivating those referrals as to what works for you and your business, because it's just like your marketing. If you rely on word of mouth from other people, they're going to tell whatever narrative or whatever was important to them, and you want to be the one who's scripting that narrative, not your clients. So there's ways of doing that, and there's techniques for doing that, and hopefully this conversation helped you shed a little bit of light on that.
Guys, if you want the show notes from this episode, click the link below in the description. You can download the show notes, and then it will also, by doing that, we'll also enroll you in the Modern Craftsman newsletter. So you're making sure that you're getting our weekly emails and all the stuff we have going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, we also here shortly will be having an email coming out with a recap from our builder show, some cool projects that we saw, or products that we saw, systems that we saw. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out in the newsletter that'll be coming out here shortly.
See you guys next week.